Echo 5, do you copy? Echo 5.
Echo 2, good morning. Nice of you to drop by.
Feeling alright, sir? Thought we lost you.
Right now, I feel like I can take on this whole podcast myself.
I know what you mean. Ready to send that transmission to Echo Base?
Yes, sir. R10, patch through.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Hoth Transmissions. We're going to continue our adventure through the Book of Boba Fett, and we're on the final chapter. Just before we jump in, I'd like to introduce another one of our co-hosts, Echo 7.
Hey everybody.
So he's going to be joining me. We're going to discuss Chapter 7. Before we jump in, I want to jump in a little bit of news. A little bit to do with Ahsoka. Actor Ray Stevenson is joining the cast. If any of you guys are familiar, he played Gar Saxon in the Clone Wars and also Star Wars Rebels.
I mean, I'm looking at him right now. Probably the coolest Mandalorian that was in Death Watch fighting with her Maul.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious if he's going to continue as a Mandalorian, or if he's going to be part of the, I want to say, part of the Empire.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it either way.
But if I remember in Rebels, he was with, I think he was the one that was trying to take Sabine's technology to basically go against the Mandalorians, so that would be able to penetrate their armor and basically just eradicate them. And so he worked with the Empire, and so I wonder if he's gonna continue to be a influence with maybe a remnant group, maybe with Thrawn, or if he's kind of, now that the Empire is done, if he's kind of jumped in with Death Watch again, probably the armor, and was it Paz Vizsla?
Yeah. Well, here on Wikipedia, it lists him as affiliations: Death Watch, Shadow Collective, and Galactic Empire. So it would be pretty cool to see him joining forces with one of the Imperial remnants, especially if he was with like one of Thrawn's muscle men or something like that. That'd be pretty dope.
Dude, I think so as well. I think he would actually work pretty well with Thrawn, and so it'd be really cool to kind of see him reprise that character.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all the news. I mean, we still got Kenobi coming up on May 25th. Kind of what I predicted in the future, or predicted before. Like a lot of people were thinking it's going to be released on May 4th, but I had a feeling they're going to release it after Celebration, and so it looks like that's what's going to be done. So it's going to be on May 25th, and it's going to run 6 episodes. I'm actually pretty stoked for it.
Yeah, it's going to be super cool.
I hear Vader's going to be a big presence in the series.
Remind me who that is?
Darth Vader?
Oh, Darth Vader. Yeah, well, obviously. I thought you said. I heard something different.
No, you're fine. I could edit that out. That we won't sound like a noob fan.
Oh my gosh.
I might keep it in just for comedy. We'll see how it works.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I misheard. So yes, I know who Darth Vader is. Anyone should know who Darth Vader is.
Yeah. And so I wonder if we're gonna see like flashbacks with Anakin Skywalker and Kenobi. Maybe, dude, I would love to see some like flashbacks with Anakin and Kenobi, like maybe doing a small thing during Clone Wars. Clone Wars scene.
That would be super cool. And what would also be really cool is we saw a small tidbit of it in episode 6, I think, of the Book of Boba Fett, where
the Order 66 with Grogu.
Yeah, the raid on the Jedi Temple. I'd love to see Anakin, newly turned Darth Vader, just fighting all these Jedis, killing. I mean, I don't want to see him killing younglings. That'd be jacked up, but fighting
every
fighting a bunch
kid
of
wants to see that.
Jedi.
Don't lie to yourself.
But I just think it'd be so cool to see a lot more of that because the Jedi Temple's huge, and I mean that's a huge, building to assault, and it would just be a dope battle
Honestly,
in
I have
its
to
own right.
agree with that. Like I know when Revenge of the Sith came out, I was like, oh, we're gonna see the turning of Anakin. He's walking up the temple steps. He's got all the 501st behind him. All
Yeah.
right, we're gonna see him chop down some Jedi, and all we get is like a little bit of his a little angle with
Lightsaber.
his hood. We get to see his eyes, and then we see him walking into the younglings, and then lightsaber turns on, and then cuts off to that, and then Yoda's in
Yeah.
there feeling the destruction of everything, and then you just continue to see the rest of Order 66 and all that.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I've always wanted to see more of. So I wonder if we're gonna get some more perspective from Vader. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And just kind of him like standing there thinking back, and then him
That
just in
would.
anger, and then we get a
I
flashback of
feel.
him thinking about Order 66.
I feel like that would be a very heavy moment emotionally,
Extremely.
because he's just newly turned to the dark side, and so there's still a lot of conflict in him. And
Yeah,
to
because I
go
think this
from
takes
being Jedi
place 5
Knight,
years after.
yeah, and
So yeah, he's still
uh,
trying to get into the mode.
yeah, but I mean, I can't get enough of Order 66. That it's just, I mean,
Dude, I know. Every time I see it, it's like, what is it? They did it in Bad Batch. They talk about it a little bit in Rebels. We get a flashback in Book of Boba.
yeah,
We see Mando's perspective of the battle droids during the Clone Wars, and then if you've played Fallen Order, you get like a whole mission on Order 66 where you're trying to escape while your master is trying to protect you.
yeah,
And so, any perspective that I get from him, I'm just like, all right, this is cool. This is cool. Hits me every time.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
So I'm just
honestly,
kind of
just
curious how
seeing the
much they're gonna
clones again.
focus.
Yeah,
Dude, yeah, that's the first time that we've seen him live action since the prequels.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's for me the Galactic Civil War was. I mean, that's the coolest era for me, even though it only lasted like what 4 or 5 years. It
20
wasn't
years.
that.
Are you talking
Well,
about Clone
not
Wars?
the Clone Wars. My bad. The
Yeah.
Clone Wars only lasted a few years. It wasn't that long at all. But it's just, I mean, it's pretty cool. There's so much to go over it.
Yeah, they barely even tapped any of it. Like we got 7 seasons out of it, but there's still so much
Yeah.
more that they could have tapped upon.
Oh yeah. I mean, and you don't even have to follow freaking Anakin and Obi-Wan because I mean it's a galactic spanning war. So
That's true.
I mean they could always come up with new content, live or animated, and I'd watch it.
Yeah, follow more with Plo Koon, Coyote Mundu, maybe more missions with Yoda.
Oh yeah.
Actually, that was probably one of my favorite episodes in Clone Wars was Yoda's arc in season 5 or was it season 6? I can't remember.
I'm
Where
not sure.
he goes and sees the wills, and then he
Oh
learns
yeah.
about to follow the Jedi Order and how necessary it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, don't even get me started on the Jedi. I mean, they obviously the good guys, the Sith are horrible, but like, I mean, they got so comfortable where they were that they. I mean, Luke was right. As much as you might hate episode or
7.
the
Oh no,
yeah
8.
episode six.
The Last Jedi.
Yeah, the Last Jedi, where he talks about how they allowed the Sith to rise and literally rule the galaxy all under their nose, and I mean they even show it in the Clone Wars where they're just like, oh yeah, something's wrong, this is wrong. These clones came out of nowhere, and they're still just kind of going along with it because they don't know what else to do.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like a really cool perspective because we get to see Anakin struggle with that. Like Anakin's seeing it happen like the entire time, and he's like,
Oh
okay.
yeah,
He's like, well, the Jedi are wrong. Even Qui-Gon even noticed it, and that's why
yeah,
he only joined the council for such a short time, and then he stepped down, just because
yeah,
he just couldn't agree with a lot of the stuff they're doing.
yeah, exactly.
And so Anakin's like, oh, you guys are doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong. Okay, well, you're telling me this, but you guys are doing this.
Yeah,
So no wonder Anakin got so confused and messed up.
yeah.
So
I mean, We'll see what they do with Luke and starting his new school, but hopefully they
Yeah,
show him, not being super disillusioned like he was in episode 7. At least going a different direction that they did in the old Jedi, I guess, before their fall, learning from their mistakes.
yeah, and
Of like,
so maybe we'll get more of that out of Kenobi. Kind of like maybe Obi-Wan is kind of struggling with the same stuff, but Obi-Wan seems like a little bit more hopeful than Luke turned out to be.
exactly.
And so it'd be really cool to kind of see them develop Kenobi from that person who lost Satine, who lost his master, who failed his apprentice, and
Yeah,
then seeing this child grow up on Tatooine and protecting him from these threats, all in the name of preserving the Jedi Order.
yeah. I'm curious how. I mean, I'm curious how close they're gonna follow the Obi-Wan Kenobi book. I listened to the Audible book.
Is that a
It,
canon
it,
one,
it,
or is it like or is that from
it
Legends?
might not be canon anymore. Let me look real quick.
Yeah, because I know they did in the comics they did a Kenobi story arc, and that's where we got to see Kirsantan face off against Kenobi, and the little scar that Kirsantan has in the Book of Boba is the one that Obi-Wan gave him with the lightsaber.
Look at no, it's Legends. Okay.
But I
Yeah,
imagine
they're
they'd
probably not
pull
gonna
some
follow it.
stuff from it.
Well, especially if Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have anything to do with it, they keep pulling all sorts of stuff out of Legends.
Oh yeah, and I've never actually read the Kenobi book.
Not exactly.
I think I have it. I just never got a chance to read it. But I've always been intrigued to read it. I
It was
always like a lot of
good.
the Legend stuff.
It was good, but it actually it was actually kind of more like the Book of Boba Fett, to be honest. When they were, because he spent a lot of time with Tusken Raiders, and they actually flip flopped the roles. There was some villagers, and they were actually antagonizing the Tuskens to make them look like the bad guys, but the Tuskens were doing anything bad. So,
Huh,
and being
interesting.
that,
Interesting.
yeah, so it was interesting and it was cool. But being that Obi-Wan's main purpose of being on Tatooine is to protect Luke, I hope they go a slightly different route, because in the book they didn't even really
Well,
talk about Luke. It was just like, oh yeah, he's
uh,
there. I go check in on him every once in a while, and then it was like, I don't know.
yeah, from what I understand, we're gonna see Inquisitors. We're gonna see Kenobi, and it's supposed to jump around from planet to planet. Like Obi-Wan, I think Obi-Wan's trying to lose their tail. Like he's not
Oh, okay.
actually staying on Tatooine, and so he leaves in order to, I guess, to protect Luke's discovery. That's what I'm assuming, at least. And so I know Vader's gonna be big into it as well, and so I'm looking forward to them meeting up again and having that duel that Kathleen Kennedy keeps talking about being the duel of the century, or the rematch of the century.
Well, I mean, Ewan McGregor on Disney Plus, the little promo for the show, he even talks about them having a little fight. So yeah,
Yeah,
that'll
so
be
it's no
interesting to
secret.
see again. Yeah, but
Yeah, and I've talked to some
it'll.
people that have worked on the show, and they've talked about like how there's going to be we're going to see a different part of it that we've never seen, different variations of his suit.
Yeah,
Kenobi's going to have a different look, which I'm actually pretty excited to get maybe some of the pops or the Black Series that they're going to have of it, and hopefully
yeah,
they're going to toss out some more Black Series lightsabers. I'd like to
yeah. That'd be
see them
dope.
redo the Darth Vader one and
Yeah,
maybe Obi-Wan's, but we'll see what
yeah,
comes out of it. A lot of cool things to come up with it.
yeah.
All right, so let us jump into chapter 7. All right, so guys, chapter 7. This is the moment that they've been building up for since the beginning of the series, but got lost during 5 and 6. So starts off, we get to see Boba and Fennec. They walk into the remains of the sanctuary after it's been destroyed. Man, what a mess they made.
Yeah, that was wicked. I thought there was going to be survivors, to be honest. And they showed the aftermath, and
Max
I mean, the
Rebo,
building
dude.
itself wasn't that
Max Rebo
destroyed,
survived.
but oh well, there you go. Oh yeah,
He survived the
it
cell
wasn't
bars. He can
there.
survive
Yeah.
this, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I was surprised that they killed literally everybody in there. I was just like, okay, everyone's dead.
Yeah,
Pretty
especially
savage.
what was it, that one Twi'lek chick that ran the place? I was actually kind of sad to see her
Uh,
die.
Garza Flip,
I
I
think
think
that
is
was her
her
name, yeah.
name.
But yeah, I was sad to see that place. I really enjoyed. I actually thought that was cool, but I don't know. It was a necessary gesture for the next part of for things to kind of step forward and move on.
Oh yeah, it was kind of like the jewel, I guess, of his territory. Fancy little
Yeah,
little
hold on one
cantina or
second.
whatever, the lounge.
So yeah, so it's cool to kind of see them chilling in the sanctuary. They're kind of like, oh crap, okay. Well, looks like things are starting a little bit quicker than we anticipated. And but I guess we're gonna have to get this done. And the Spy Kids, I think was his name. Oh, he's like, okay, well, no better place than to set up camp here. He's like, make them come to us. Forget the palace. He's like, if we're gonna be part of Mos Espa, if we're gonna really gain people's attention, we got to stay here. And Boba's like, nah, we'll just go back there. And then Drax, the chick, she's like, no. All right, you guys can go there, but we're staying here. And Boba's like, all right, you know what? I'm staying here too then. And so I kind of really like how they're really pulling Boba's character into that leadership role. It's like he's kind of stubborn, like he'll make a decision, but he's like, you know what? I'm open for suggestion. I'm not gonna just lead and just tell you, okay, this is what we're doing. You guys are being childish. Come with me, or we'll drag you by your hair. He's like, you know what? You actually might have a point. So let's just stay here.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Um, and I mean, I can even attribute that to real life experiences, like leaders at work. You know, the good ones aren't the ones that are going to be all, you know, acting like dictators. They're going to be willing to listen to other input, and if somebody else has a better perspective, then they'll actually listen to it. You know, so I did like that.
Yeah, I mean, I deal with I have a lot of different managers in my job, and probably about 90% of them are the people are like, do it my way or no way, and
Oh yeah,
they they sit there and pull fits or they'll get upset. If,
it was good.
like I'm a supervisor, but like I I think one of my managers knows. She's like, I know you have an issue with authority. I'm like, it's not that I have an issue with authority. It's just I have an issue of people that are taking their roles and abusing it. And so I kind of like that Boba's not abusing his ability or his power. Like he
Yeah,
came in, killed Bib Fortuna, and then it's like, all right, I'm the boss here. All right, now let me hear your thoughts. Because
yeah,
like he's even like willing to get rid of the whole spice trade. Like Fennec is like, no. That was pretty much all the Jabba's trade. Like that was most of his fortune. We can't get rid of it. And he was like, no, spice is killing our people. We're getting rid of it.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a horrible thing to be running through, especially if he wants to be respected and not feared. Then I mean that's a perfect place to start, getting rid of the drugs on the streets.
Yeah, basically. What was it said? What was it? Covenant says Tatooine has seen enough violence or whatever. And
Right.
so Boba's kind of on the same page. It's like, all right, let's just clean this place up. We'll be a little
Yeah.
bit more honest here.
Yeah. And
So,
I I was hearing arguments like, oh well, Boba should have just fought at the palace anyway, because then Mos Espa wouldn't have gotten destroyed like it did. And I can see that argument, but at the same time, he's this new daimyo, and he needs to be seen defending his territory.
yeah,
I mean, and they paid that off at the end of the episode.
in the
When
words of the
people saw
Joker,
him.
it's about sending a message.
Yeah, exactly. So people saw him, and now he's respected. So
Yeah, which I like, but at the same time, he's like, the people need me here, and at this point, I'm like, just based off of like the whole season so far, like up until this point, like I haven't really seen the only time that I've actually seen him go out is to go to the sanctuary or to deal with that one guy that was overselling water and saving the spy kids from him or trying to fix prices. The
yeah,
rest of the time he's been at his palace or he's been trying to get his Slave One back and stuff like that. And so at this point, I'm like, I don't really think these people really know who you are yet. So I think at this point, it's kind of like a big thing for him to be, like you said, being seen defending his territory.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
these people don't know that they need him. They're so used to Jabba. They're so used to Bib Fortuna. The Pikes are coming in. They're so used to the Hutts just running everything that they're just used to everything. So they don't even know that they need Boba at this point. And so Boba's like, all right, I'm here to change things up. You guys don't know you need me. You don't know who I am yet. But here, I'm going to make a name. And we see that
Sure.
at the end of the episode too, once everything's finalized. Because
Yeah.
once they win the battle, it's like him and Fennec are walking down and they're handing him Lutons. People are like bowing to him, and Boba's like, I don't think we're the right people to do this. And it's just like, well, who else then? And then it kind of goes off into another thing.
Yeah.
But after this little scene, I kind of like that it jumped over and we got to see a little bit more perspective of the Pikes. And I don't think we got really much out of them until this point. And I'm really upset because I feel like they should have got Cad Bane in the series a lot sooner. Because I like that he's in it now, but for people that haven't seen Clone Wars or Bad Batch, people are just like, who is this guy?
Yeah, and now he's already gone. So for
Yeah.
the casual observer, it's just like, okay, he's this weird looking dude who's good with a gun, and that's it. So yeah,
Yeah, like
I
he
can see
came
that
in like
perspective.
yeah, like this whole scene, like him talking to the Pikes, like you can definitely tell he has authority. Like he's got experience. Like he's
Yeah.
somebody you should know. Because the way that he's talking
Yeah.
to the Pikes, he's like, all right, well, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Yes, I think what would have been cool, and I feel like it's maybe a missed opportunity. But I mean, everything's hindsight is 2020.
Absolutely, yeah.
If he had been maybe not the sole person, but involved in the destruction of Boba's Tuscan tribe,
Yeah.
like if he was tasked with that, maybe not by himself, but maybe leading some Pikes over there, I think that would have been a very cool introduction, showing him being ruthless, and then that would have set the stage for him coming back to shoot the marshal later on in the season.
Dude, yeah, because I
But
remember like back when the Tuscans first got annihilated and Fennec was like, really a bike gang took out a whole tribe of Tuscans? I
yeah,
was like, nope. I'm like, I knew it wasn't the Pike gang. I mean, not the Pike gang, the biker gang. I was like, I guarantee you it had something to do with the Pikes. The Pikes were playing Boba because Boba's coming in saying, okay, well, the Tuscans own this territory. You're going to have to pay in order to use this land. Pikes are like, all right, well, screw that.
yeah,
Let's lie to Boba and say, okay, well, go deal with the bikers and then, because we're not going to pay tribute to two people, even though, they weren't paying tribute to the bikers at all.
oh yeah,
And so that whole scene with Boba going to Slave One and just seeking vengeance on the biker king was just completely
I,
just murder. I mean,
yeah.
he didn't know
I
it, but
mean, no, but I mean, it was also an excellent scene. When,
oh, it was. You
I
just
had
kind
a
of feel
big
bad
old
for him now.
smile on my face when they showed the bikers, and then you just see the Slave One in the distance, just getting closer and closer, and then he just unleashes on him. I just thought it was so epic.
Murdered in cold blood. Boba Fett is a cold-blooded killer.
Yeah, just like Cad
Um,
Bane said.
which is funny because Cad Bane says Boba is a cold-blooded killer, but it seems more like just based off of Cad Bane's history, Cad Bane fits that role a lot more.
Yeah, because I mean, even in the Clone Wars, I mean, when we saw young Boba, he wasn't much of a killer. He still had a bit of a code.
Yeah, and especially when he talked to Hondo kind of helped him mold him a little bit. And
Yeah,
I think like the first time that we see Cad Bane, he's breaking into to get out. What was it? Gardula, not Gardula. That goofy hut, the cousin of Jabba.
yeah,
And he's just ruthlessly just killing people.
yeah.
And his bounty was just to release him, not kill anybody. So
Well, I
I
mean,
don't know.
he has no problem kidnapping little kids either. I mean,
That is true. That is true.
he tried to take Omega, and then he took those Force-sensitive kids in the Clone Wars for Sidious. So,
Oh yeah, that's right. Because he went and got the
fucking-
hologram too.
yeah. So
That
I
is
mean,
true. So
Boba's probably
technically,
not
he worked for the
perfect.
Empire. He just didn't know he was.
Yeah. I mean, Boba's probably not perfect, but Cad Bane's definitely a lot worse as far
Yeah,
as
I mean,
morals go.
when you're a bounty hunter, is is there any time that you're not a killer? You do it.
Yeah.
You do what you need to do to get the job done. Boba
Exactly.
did it. Cad Bane did it.
I mean,
Singh did it.
even
Everybody did
Mando,
it. Even Mando.
chopped that dude's head off, cut him in half, then chopped his head off. So,
Yeah, seriously.
like, yikes.
And we don't even know what the guy did.
Yeah, no, we just
Why he was being hunted.
and we still cheer for him because he's quote unquote the
Our
good
hero.
guy. So yeah, he's our hero.
Yeah, River a questionably moral guy, but he's winning. So yeah, let's go.
But, he's got the cool armor, so we like him. So.
Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't a big surprise to see that the mayor was there as well. I was like, I hated
Yeah.
the mayor since I first saw him in the first episode
Yeah, very
or second episode, whenever he showed up.
the slimy person. You can just tell.
Yeah, and then it was a little interesting to see Pelimoto show up again. Seemed like she's like a big role for Jon Favreau, and then I honestly didn't think we were gonna get the answer to Grogu's choice until Amanda season 3, but it came a lot quicker than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. My fan theory was completely wrong. I thought Yoda was gonna pick the lightsaber, and then Luke was gonna give him the armor as well, and be like, "Oh, just because you choose the Jedi way doesn't mean you have to forsake your family or something like that." But I mean, he
Yeah,
picked the armor, so either way, I'm wrong. It is what it is. So, but
yeah. So yeah, I honestly thought he was gonna pick Yoda's lightsaber as well, and that Luke was just gonna give him the armor. But I didn't think we were gonna
yeah,
get the decision so quickly. But I think that the way they went with this was to protect him from Kylo. I think this is kind of their option of like, okay, well, how does Grogu survive the purge of Luke's temple? Well, he
I
chooses to be a
mean,
foundling instead.
yeah. It was one way or another. Or I don't think people would have been happy if he actually died by Kylo, because then nobody would like Kylo at all, just because of that. So
Oh yeah, seriously. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because they kind of did a little thing with Grogu here. They did a little thing with Grogu here where it was basically a lot of the fans kind of criticized Grogu's name. And so when Pelimoto found out his name, she's like, really? Well, I'm not going to call you that. And that's kind of like
yeah, I
an allusion
never
to
had
like a lot of fans. Like a lot of fans still call him Baby Yoda.
I mean, I go back and forth. I don't think you're gonna please everybody. When he first showed up, people just started calling him Baby Yoda, and then that just kind of became an endearing term. And so, no matter what name you're gonna give him, no one's gonna like it. So, I mean,
Yeah, basically. Like it depends on who I'm talking to. Like if I'm talking to people that are like fans that actually know what they're talking about, I'll be like, okay, Grogu, because they're not going to question me. They're like, okay, yeah, I know who that is. But
yeah,
when I go to people that I know that just seen Mandalorian, Book of Boba, maybe have seen the movies, I'll be like, oh yeah, Baby Yoda, and then they're like, oh
yeah,
yeah, Baby Yoda. Everybody gets all super crazy. Um,
yeah,
I liked how she calls Grogu Bright Eyes later.
yeah.
It's kind of call to Planet of the Apes where Dr. Zero calls Taylor Bright Eyes.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like really a thing, but I was just reading somewhere somebody tied that in. I was like, okay, that might be something, but I thought it was interesting nonetheless.
Yeah.
Let's see. And so we jump back to Fennec. They're talking about the families. It's like, okay, well, let's hope that these guys are gonna remain neutral, because that'll make everything so much easier for us.
Oh my gosh, I knew from the minute that happened, way back in the show, that they weren't gonna stay neutral. There's no way that they were going to stay neutral. It just, at least
Nope.
for me,
Well,
I knew it wasn't going to happen. I knew they were going to get betrayed. At least one
yeah,
of them.
I mean, it's cliche. You know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, well, all right, well, yeah, it's acceptable to us. We'll stay neutral. We won't interfere. And you'll make us richer because of it. Okay, cool. Nah, Boba's trying to get rid of the spice. That's their main source of income. So you knew they weren't gonna sit around and just let Boba just kind of run things out.
Oh yeah.
And
I
that's
mean,
one thing. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, especially from their perspective, I mean, Boba was, I mean, basically a foot soldier, and then now he wants to be the leader of this clan, and so I can also see where they're just like, you know, who the heck are you? Like, yeah, you're a good bounty hunter, but that doesn't make you a leader. So I can see that.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
But oh man, they keep showing shots of like Mos Espa throughout the episode, and it shows like this massive place. I really think that they should have spent the last 2 episodes exploring it.
You get this nice overview shot, and I might be wrong, but it seems like every time it's the same angle.
Yeah,
But it's still cool. But at the same time, then you go in to the city, and it's always either the palace or that road leading up to the stinking
sanctuary.
to the sanctuary. Yeah, and so you don't get a whole lot of actual like, because that's obviously aren't the only two places in that huge city. There's got to be other hot spots, um, so to speak. But
Yeah, I'm hoping like
um,
they do something with it in the future
yeah, and I don't know if
because
that's
they
budget
set it up to
constraints,
be
but
something.
yeah,
As much as
yeah,
I am bored of seeing desert planets, I would like to see other planets with different sceneries.
yeah,
But
yeah.
maybe there's
I mean,
I don't know, maybe they're setting something up because even Boba was talking about like when the Pikes came, he's like, tell them the negotiations are down, they're not gonna happen anymore, and tell them that Tatooine will grow with life and greenery with the bodies of with the death
yeah,
of with the death of you guys.
yeah. I think that was perfect. I forget his name, but they had the the mayor's emissary, his right hand guy, go out there, and he thought he was gonna offer this surrender and grovel a little bit, and they're gonna go free. And then he's just like, "No, the fields will grow from the dead bodies of the Pikes." And just like,
Yes. You know, like
uh,
he was like trying to like, oh, all right, well, let me say this. Just read it. Just read it. All right. Well, and you see him like he's like, I'm gonna get shot because of this.
yeah, and he almost
And
did.
I
I
knew it
mean,
was too. I was expecting
yeah,
it. I thought it was hilarious.
yeah, that was well done. I think that guy. I think he plays that character quite well. That,
Oh man, he was so annoying, super annoying.
yeah.
But
He's
you
always
gotta
going off on these
respect how well
tangents.
he plays that character, though.
Oh yeah,
You can tell that he's that brown noser.
yeah,
He's like, okay, well, all right, well, I don't want to boost my ego or talk so great of myself. On Coruscant, I did learn this. Not that my family was rich or anything, but blah 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 blah. I was a
yeah,
was it a civil negotiator or something like that. So I am not beneath getting down on my knees and begging or groveling or whatnot. That way we can preserve your ego,
yeah,
and it'll just be me doing it. I was like, all right, let's get this clown out there. He reminds me of like a court jester.
yeah, totally.
Uh, but I did like how they kind of like went in and they kind of like we did get to see a little bit more of Boss Espo because they're talking about okay, we got Crusade and he's over here in the in front of the in the Trandoshan territory. We got the Spy Kids over in Platoonian
The Vespa gang.
territory. Yeah, the Vespa
Yeah,
gang. Uh, and so we got the twin Gamorreans. They're chilling over in this area. Rip, by the way. Uh, and so it's kind of setting up. Okay, well, we got all these sentries out here, so we got some patrols. So things are about to go down.
yeah,
And I did like that Cad Bane did show up earlier, and Boba Fett's like, "Yeah, we're not fighting right now." Like he wanted to, and Fennec had to talk him down. and you could see Cad Bane was getting under his skin.
Yeah, yeah. He was trying to. I mean, that was his whole point. Was trying to get him off balance into that fight there. Can you hear me,
But
son?
I do not.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. And I mean, since when do bounty hunters become the negotiators for whoever hires them?
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, come on, Cad Bane, you're a little bit more important than someone to go and intimidate somebody. You're a bounty hunter. Go collect your bounty and then come back.
Yeah, a job is a job. And he would have worked just as hard if he was working for Boba as he was for the Pikes. I mean,
Mm-hmm. And then he also mentioned Cal Bantha's dead, and you can see through their helmets the disappointment, the grief that Mando was having, and the disappointment that Boba was having. It's like, okay, well, I guess Freeton's not coming.
yeah.
And so, but Boba being the cocky guy, he's like, I can take him. And Fenn's like, you will, just not right now.
Yeah, exactly. Should have talked him down before he got into. Because I mean, he's emotional. He's going to be a little off balance there. The draw.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be focused.
And so we got the Twi'lek clown. He's standing there, delivers the message from Boba. It's like, oh, well, Boba's offering you nothing. So, blah, blah. And then he says his little line, and then you see them getting ready to shoot him. And perfect timing for Boba and Mando to jump out and start saving him.
Oh, yeah. That was, excuse me. Yeah, that was. I thought he was going to get shot, to be honest. I thought they were going to
I
kill him
did too.
off.
I was
I
like,
was
okay,
kind of
that's going to
hoping
be the
they
end of
were.
him. Me too.
But, yeah. I mean, Boba,
But
all he had to do was wait to shoot a split second later. And then.
oh, all right, they shot him. All right, now we can go in.
Exactly.
But I did like seeing Mando and Boba just come out with their jetpacks and just start shooting. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was almost like a callback to Iron Man 2 or 3 when Rhodes and Iron Man were out there. And they were surrounded by all those robots and they were fighting together. It was kind of like that. At least that's what it reminded me of.
Now that you mention it, yeah, that kind of reminds me. And I mean, Jon Favreau was part of that as well, so you would expect him to kind of call back to some of the stuff that he did previously.
Yeah, they like to. Yeah, they like to throw a lot of callbacks into their work.
Yeah, and so
I think it's cool.
So now you know the war begins because Chrysanthemum's getting trampled. Man, he's such a beast.
Yeah,
It takes a lot to get a freaking Wookiee down.
Oh yeah, especially one like him. I mean, that guy looks like he's all amped up on something. But I mean, I thought he was pretty good this episode. There was a few continuity errors, I think. Like when he was running back, they still had the speeder before it got blown up by the Scorpionic droids, and he was like dragging his leg, gets back, and then a few scenes later, they're running away from the Scorpionic droids, and then he's like running perfectly fine, like nothing's wrong.
Yeah,
with
I did notice that. I don't know if Wookiees.
So
Well, actually, no, Wookiees don't heal that fast because we see Chewie getting treated in The Rise of Skywalker quite a bit, and he's out for pretty much most of the movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe him just being a gladiator, maybe he's just used to pain and just like, all right, well, I'm in the middle of the war, adrenaline's pumping, so I'll deal with all this later. That could have been it, but I seriously thought he was going to be out for the rest of the episode. I was like, okay, he takes out all these Trandoshans, and then he comes in dragging a bunch of Trandoshans over him as he comes to Boba and Mando, and then
I like how
he gets shot a couple times, gets down on his knees, gets pulled over behind. I'm like, okay, all right, you served your purpose. You basically took out all the Trandoshans, so you're good. And nope, he's still got some fight left in him, and I think he should have still been limping a little bit later, at least showing some of his wounds. But that's just how movies generally are. It's like, okay, everybody's invincible, and then finally when the war's over, then everybody's like either perfectly healthy again, or that's when they start to show their injuries.
Yeah, I mean, I liked how they sent him over to the Trandoshans because it's, I mean, Wookiees and Trandoshans.
It's fitting. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just perfect to send him over there to keep an eye on them, and then they turn on him. It's just like, yep,
Surprise,
never gonna
surprise.
stop. Yeah. I was hoping to see him
Little
rip some
Wookiee
more.
revenge.
Yeah, I was hoping to see him rip some more Trandoshan arms off, but didn't get
Dude,
any
that
of
would have been
that.
cool.
So,
And again, rip the Gamorreans.
yeah, I felt bad. I was
I
sad
did
when those
too.
guys died because they were cool. They were so loyal to Boba, and they helped him out out of a few situations, and he got tossed off a cliff.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah, seriously. They're just getting overwhelmed. It's like, okay, well, it's either get sliced down or fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
Looks like we're falling off the cliff, guys. All right.
I'd rather fall off a cliff than get stabbed too.
Yeah.
It's a quicker route.
That ends. It's like, okay, I'm choosing my death. I'm not letting you. You're not getting the satisfaction of killing me.
Yeah.
You may push me to the point, but the time I die is my choice, not yours.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of a little bit 50-50 on this. I wasn't sure I liked that Fennec was the one that left. But as I watched it the second time, it made a little bit more sense to me for why she took off. Having the title of Master Assassin, I think she was the one that was the best choice in order to hunt them down and do what was necessary to take it down, and let Boba stay present in the front lines.
Yeah. And to be honest, if Boba was the one, or even Mando was the one to go over there, he probably wouldn't have killed them all. He probably would have. He wouldn't have killed them. He probably would have captured them or something, which would not have been fitting.
Public execution.
Yeah. I think it sent a message better to have Fennec Shand go, and it was just super cool to watch them terrified in their own headquarters, and then the mayor just gets strung up. I mean, it was gruesome, but it was well executed.
Dude, yeah. It was definitely something. And even up to this point, I couldn't really take the Pike serious. I mean, I don't know. We're introduced to them as a syndicate during the Clone Wars. They're mentioned a little bit in Rebels, and then we see them in Solo, and then we see them in Book of Boba. But we see them a little bit here in the Book of Boba. Like, you see them take out the train, and maybe that's the main reason why they got so pissed off at Boba and took out the Tusken clan. Not to mention Boba's demands, but I felt like they weren't really established as the villain until, like, I want to say maybe this episode, because we don't really see too much of a presence, them really doing anything. Or the end of last episode when they leave the Cantona in the sanctuary and blow it up. That's when we're like, okay, they're officially the villain.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that, especially with all the flashbacks. There wasn't a whole lot of time in the beginning of the show, the season, to set them up as the actual bad guys. Because it's like, I mean, especially to hardcore fans, who the Pikes are. They're a syndicate. So you see them. There might be an episode where you deal with them, but then you might not see them again. So
Yeah.
They probably would have had to have
this.
more of a presence to set them up as the actual villain for the specific season. So,
Not to mention the Hutts.
Yeah, that threw in some confusion there. It was cool to see them. I think the CGI was really well done on them. I thought it was hilarious to see those guys struggling with their litters, while they were jiggling on the while they were jiggling around on their litters. But yeah, it threw a little bit of confusion as to who the bad guy was for the show.
And I still want to know why, because like Boba wanted to kill him, but they're like, we need to get permission to kill a Hutt. I want to know permission from who.
Yeah, didn't they all get schwacked in the Clone Wars?
Not all of them. No, there's a couple. What's his name? I still want to know the stupid Hutt during the Clone Wars.
I mean, even so, they're not nearly as powerful as they once were. I mean, they're especially after Jabba was killed. I don't know. interesting why he said they need permission to kill a Hutt.
Yeah, seriously. So they didn't really talk about that too much, and that's one thing that I was really curious. I don't think it
Yeah.
probably something that's gonna. It's not like a huge issue for me, but I'm just it's something
Yeah.
I'm still curious about.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when they gave him the Rancor, I thought that it was gonna freaking attack him or something. Like I thought it was a trick. But that obviously didn't pay off either. So I mean, I don't even know what their purpose was, other than to give him a Rancor that he can go on a rampage with in the season finale. So,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
if that was the sole reason, then so be it. It was super
It was worth
cool
it.
to see Boba riding the flipping Rancor, and see it jumping around, like how they're supposed to be able to move. Because you didn't really see that in the original Star Wars. Because
And you don't even really see that in Bad Batch either, or I don't think you
yeah,
see them in the Clone Wars, but yeah.
no, I mean yeah, in the Bad Batch they had the little baby Rancor, and it was jumping around a little bit, but I mean it was a little thing, it wasn't big.
It was cool to see him kind of like just sit there and like smash on the shields of the Scorpionite annihilators and really like mess with the energy on it. Like they couldn't
Yeah,
keep up with the hits and completely destroyed the shield and went through and just like started ripping them apart.
yeah.
Um,
A cool little thing on the droid was it had to focus its energy forward on the shield, and
yeah,
that gave Mando an opportunity to get inside because it had to weaken
the
the
shield.
rear. Its rear shield, but the freaking Rancor couldn't kill it. That of course it still did. So
And actually, a fun note on those droids were originally supposed to be in the prequels. They're actually a concept art for it's supposed to be for like the big battle droid armies. It's supposed to be like an advanced version of the destroyer droids.
interesting.
Yeah, they brought them into the expanded universe. I think they're like in a game or two, and I think they're
Okay.
mentioned in the books.
Yeah.
But this is the first time that it's actually featured in like a canon story,
Yeah.
and so I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I mean, try not to be too negative, but I had a couple problems with them too. I mean, they were super cool showing up and super intimidating, but then like yeah, they blew up the speeder. Everyone's running away, and then they couldn't hit like the side of a barn. Like they were right in front of all the good guys. And to me, I felt like for the battle itself, they could have killed off a few extras, to add a little bit of weight to the battle.
Yeah, I felt
Um,
like nobody really died other than the Pikes.
yeah. Um, I mean, the episode was great. Don't get me wrong, but that part was a little bit annoying. Like even the extras that nobody cares about, they didn't bother killing them off to be like, oh shoot, these things are actually super dangerous. But that's all I had with them. I thought they were super cool. I love seeing like stuff that John Favreau and Dave Filoni bring in from like the expanded universe, and bring it back to canon. I think it's really interesting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I finally remember the name of that stupid hut from Clone Wars. It was Zero.
Oh my gosh,
Zero the Hut.
is that? Oh my gosh, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that's
The
the
most
one that's in the Clone
obnoxious.
Wars movie. Yeah, the one that Cad Bane rescues from the Jedi prison.
Oh my gosh. When I first was like getting a little bit more into Star Wars, and I heard about the Clone Wars, I watched the movie, and then after that movie, I didn't get into like I still like Star Wars, but I did not watch the Clone Wars, the TV show, for the longest time because that was the impression that I had of the show, and I was like, I'm not watching that garbage. So
That's how Echo 5 and I were for a while.
yeah. So
It
I'm
wasn't until
glad that
season 3 that I got into it.
yeah, yeah. So I'm glad I gave it a second chance because that was the first impression that I had of the show, and it was so obnoxious.
Dude, yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I had the same thoughts on it. I was like, okay. I even gave the first episode of Clone Wars a shot, and I'm like, this is not what I expected. I'm done, and
Yeah.
that was it. And then I started seeing commercials on Cartoon Network. It was like, okay, check out Darth Maul's returning, blah blah. And then it was all this publicity for it, and I was like, I'm curious how they're bringing him back. And so then I watched that, and then I was like, all right, I'll give
Yeah.
I'll give Clone Wars a second try. And I kept on watching, and it just got darker and darker. And I'm like, okay, this is actually pretty
It
cool.
actually turned into a pretty dope show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
So anybody out there that's listening to this and hasn't watched Clone Wars, I highly recommend
Yeah,
Clone Wars.
Give
And
it
you'll
a
get a little bit
chance.
more background on Cad Bane, and he won't seem so random of a character in this.
Yeah. And overarching, I mean, you see Anakin's fall to the dark side, because if you've just seen the movie, if you've just seen the Revenge of the Sith and Episode 2 and whatnot, it seems very abrupt, where he just like, he's this Jedi. 1 minute, 10 minutes later, he's killing younglings. Well,
Mm-hmm.
in the Clone Wars, you see him progressing down that path of questioning the Jedi Order and just doing things that are not in line with their teachings, and even having like dark moments, and so it's
Mm-hmm.
gives
At
you
least
a bigger story.
at least the Sith are true to their beliefs. The Jedi don't even know what they want.
Exactly.
Uh, so yeah, jumping back to the episode.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how when these Scorpionics show up, I was like, okay, how the heck are they going to destroy these things? Because they're sitting there shooting their blasted at them. Mando even takes out the Darksaber and starts slashing at it, and you're like,
Couldn't even
okay,
get past the shield.
yeah. I was like, okay, how they gonna handle this? I mean, you kind of need a Jedi there to sit there and use the Force to be able to get in there and throw them around. I think it'd be no problem for Anakin or Obi,
Oh yeah.
but for standard Mandalorians and everybody else that isn't in tune with the Force, a little bit of a struggle for them.
Yeah. I do the same thing. I'd run away. You
Yeah,
got these.
I'd be like, all right, well, we tried.
Yeah. I like in the Clone Wars, you could roll the droid poppers into their shields, and still take them out, but those shields were better than the other ones, and you couldn't even walk into those ones. So
Yeah, Kirsten even tries, or shall I
yeah,
say, Santo, as Boba calls him.
yeah.
He tried
So
to get in there,
very
and then he
deadly.
just gets kicked, and then he just gets kicked by
Yeah.
that metal leg and thrown into a wall. I was like, oh, all right. Then the Spy Kids come and pick him up, and they run off. I also thought it was funny. What was it? Strike. I think his name was Striker. I'll have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure that's his name. Cool character. I like the little thing on his eye, but I thought it was just completely pointless. There's one scene where he's just standing and he's shooting, does a
I know
little
what you're talking
spin,
about. I've seen so
and
many
starts shooting
memes on
again.
it.
I'm like, was that really necessary? I'm like, I know it looks cool, but
Yeah,
it's,
I
you're
know
in the middle of a
exactly what
fight.
you're talking
That
about.
little spin will get you killed.
Yeah, they'll ever just shoot you in the back while you're spinning.
I'm just thinking of little Anakin at this point. Try spinning.
Yeah,
That's a good trick.
yeah. Like,
It's a good trick, but pointless.
if you go onto YouTube, you'll see all sorts of. It's just like 30-second clips of him like spinning and like killing every people, and then there's like random people and like different shows. It's super funny. People are making fun of it all across the board.
Oh,
So,
really? Okay, I'm gonna have to look
yeah,
that up. That's actually sounds fun. I'll probably post
it,
something on the Instagram
yeah,
just to see what people say.
yeah. I saw a couple of them earlier today and had me cracking up. They're pretty good.
Because it's the same thing, like in the Rise of Skywalker. There's like a move that Kylo does when he turns into Ben Skywalker and he's fighting the Knights of Ren. He does like this little move that was completely pointless. He like puts the saber behind his back or something to block something that I don't know wasn't necessary. I don't know. I'll have to
Yeah,
look it up, but and I wonder if these people
action
that do.
scenes. They like their spins.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I wonder if they look at these choreographed scenes and they're sitting there watching. It's like, okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. Okay, that's cool.
We need a spin
Okay,
right here. Hold on.
yeah. And then it's the fans that come and
What?
say, "Are you guys actually watching the choreographer do all this? Because this doesn't make sense."
Yeah. I mean, personally, I think when they make things more realistic, it actually makes things more interesting. I mean, you take John Wick, for instance, and that guy actually trained with firearms for doing the movies, and to me,
Yeah,
it made the movie look way better just because he knew what he was doing. He wasn't just like trying to look cool.
yeah, basically.
So
Even
yeah,
the Mando and Boba when they first show up, like I know those rockets shooting at her knee isn't realistic, but everything in that scene seemed very like fluid.
yeah,
It's like he's sitting there,
yeah. I
they're
mean,
sitting
it's
there
Star
shooting,
Wars, so it's not like everything.
kicks his knee
I'm
up.
not. Yeah,
No, I get you. I get
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Um, so this did spend a lot of time with those giant droids, which I thought was cool.
Yeah,
I'm glad that they didn't take him down so easily. I would have been disappointed if they're like, okay, they showed up. All right, we took him down. All right, what's the next challenge? I like that.
yeah,
That was kind of like the main challenge. Like the Pikes are like, oh yeah, we're gonna win because we got these. Like you can see that the Pikes were a little bit overconfident with their technology. They're like, yeah, you're not gonna stand a chance against us. And
yeah.
then
Well,
Rancor.
and you have to remember, they even said that they have to protect their margins, and
Yeah,
so I mean, it makes sense that they're not going to pull out their most expensive toy immediately for the battle. They're going to send out their people
they're little
who
foot soldiers.
are honestly, probably replaceable.
Yeah, honestly.
And they're like, okay, it's not working, so now we actually got to bring out these expensive droids and try and kill them. But
I did like the Rancor was sitting there just like tearing things up, and even the Rancor, like the Rancor came up and still struggled to destroy one of them.
yeah,
And I know Mando jumps in on the second one, and he breaks through the shield, gets in there, uses the jetpack, gets on top of it. Then he waits like 10, 15 seconds before he even starts slicing and dicing. He waits until the Rancor gets shot in the chest a couple times, and he's like, okay, now I'm gonna chop you up.
yeah, and then even
Like
then
he had a lot more
he
time
didn't.
to.
Even then he didn't throw a killing blow to the droid. I
Yeah,
mean, he plunged the dark saber maybe only like halfway in, not deep enough to hit anything important, and then just tossed
yeah.
him off. So
And I like that they kind of let Grogu be part of the battle a little bit, even though wasn't really that effective.
yeah,
But he was effective in saving Mando. Mando falls down,
oh
he's about
yeah,
to get done. And then Grogu like just reaches out of the force, is like, okay, I can do this. I can
yeah,
do this. And then just pulls like a little screw out and disables the leg, but the thing flies and hits Grogu, and Grogu flies
yeah.
back, all
I
surprised.
thought, I thought that was super funny because I was not expecting that. I thought he was just gonna hold it up, and then when
Yeah,
he yanked
I
a,
thought it was
a
gonna be like
piece out of
similar
its leg, I
to
thought that was
yeah, I thought it was gonna be similar to season one where he lifts up that beast.
yeah, yeah. I thought it was gonna be a callback to that.
That's what I thought it was gonna be, but instead he just pulls out like a little piece and flies and hits him, and then Mando gets up, and then Kroger's like immediately reaching for him, and he's like, "All right, I'll pick you up. I'll comfort you. You hurt yourself. All right, blah blah blah." There's like a nice little
Yeah,
tender moment between him and Grogu,
yeah,
and then he's sitting there just running with Grogu in his hands the whole time, right in the middle of the battle. I'm like, okay, figured you would have tossed him down at least one
uh,
time.
put him down somewhere safe and then go fight. But no, fly him off to
Um,
the castle or something.
and I love how they keep using the Wilhelm scream. Like you see it all through Hollywood material. It's very common. You see it in the prequels, you see it in the original trilogy, and you see it here when the Rancor picks up the one of the pikes. Boba shoots him, and he sits there and throws him, and then he does that little Wilhelm scream.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That's
which I
in
also
a
thought
lot
was
of.
funny how far he like threw him.
Are you talking about that classic action movie Scream when like a dude gets
Yeah,
like thrown or yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. They call that the Wilhelm scream.
Okay, I didn't know it had a name. Yeah, that's I like it's in like I mean just
Almost
about any
everything.
action movie nowadays. Yeah, so it's funny that
I think he even used it in The Hobbit, in the Goblin Town.
yeah. I just think it's funny
So
that like it's not even like specific to a certain theme of movie. It's just like any action movie, someone dies or gets thrown off of something like anywhere. Star Wars, could be a freaking cowboy movie. Doesn't even matter. I just
doesn't
think it's
matter.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing I liked the interaction between Pully and the mayor's clown. They're meeting up. She's like, "Hey, get over here, pretty boy." And then they're like sitting there doing that thing. I was like, I have a feeling that they're gonna hook up. She did it to Jawa, and now she's gonna go for a Twi'lek.
Oh gosh. She's like, I did it to Jawa once. Quite furry. Quite furry.
Which stayed true to the canon of Jawas.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling
was
we're
like,
gonna
that's
see the
gross.
mayor's clown in maybe Mando season 3. He's probably gonna be hanging around Pelly for a bit.
Yeah.
A little bit more comedy
Quite.
relief.
Yeah, that'd be quite the duo there.
And so Boba's doing this whole thing with the Rancor, blah blah, tearing things apart. And then now we get to see our favorite blue bounty hunter show up. And he ain't terrified of no Rancor.
No, he doesn't care.
It's like,
Just a
okay,
little-
you're coming close to me.
little bit of flame.
Flamethrower.
Yeah. Get out of here. He doesn't even care.
Throws Boba down. Rancor climbs away, gets out of there. Convenient way to get rid of the Rancor and keep a little third battle between Cad Bane. But I think it would have been a little bit cooler to see the Rancor swinging at Cad Bane and him doing some rules and stuff like that. I don't know if it would be too cost effective as far as their budget, but I think it would have been cool to see a little bit more of his skill against Boba and a Rancor, and then eventually get the Rancor out of here, and then do the standoff between Boba and Cad.
Yeah. I'm glad they paid that off because there was all across social media, all the other Star Wars pages I follow, including the Hotspot. Everyone talking about the unfinished arc of the Clone Wars where Boba and Cad Bane had their standoff. So I'm glad they paid that off, and they even made a slight mention towards it when Boba's like, "I'm not a little boy anymore." So
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
yeah.
So for this little standoff, were you disappointed with it, or was it overwhelming or underwhelming for you, or were you just whelmed?
I guess I would say I was whelmed. For the standoff itself, I was whelmed. I don't know. I thought Boba should have at least gotten a shot off, even if he missed. But I mean, Cad Bane is pretty darn quick on that draw.
He
I
is, and I
did,
think that's kind of what they wanted to stick with.
yeah. And I like that Boba won in the end, and with the gaffy stick, and he just absolutely just murdered him. Just plunged that thing in his chest.
Dude, yeah, like I think that's one thing I liked about it. It kind of shows, okay, Cad Bane is quick to the draw with the gun, but when it comes to close quarter combat, especially against Boba, Boba has that upper hand on him. So it shows that both of them have their different skills.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was cool. Like, cause most of the times that we see Boba fighting is with rockets, flamethrowers. He's got
He's good
more
with
of
his
like,
gadgets.
yeah, he's good with his gadgets. Mostly Cad Bane is just a gunslinger. And I honestly think it would have been cool to see him a little bit with his boot rockets. I think that would have been cool.
Oh yeah, we didn't get that. Get to see that.
I know that would have been probably a little too much. I know we didn't really get too much of Boba and Mando on their jetpacks, but we got enough of it. But I think it might have been harder to do live action with his boot rockets.
Yeah.
It works in Clone Wars because it's just animation, but
Probably would have been hard to, because I mean with the jetpacks, you can just put strings on them and move them like that, but the the mechanics are going to work differently if the rockets are on his boots rather than his back.
Yeah.
After Boba stabs him, stabs Cad with his Gadurfi stick. A little.
Gaffy stick.
Like it was Gadurfi. I'm looking at.
No, Gaffy.
I'm looking at Wikipedia. It says Gadurfi.
Oh, interesting. That might just be another name. I've never heard it called that before.
Maybe it's both.
Anyways,
Whatever. Doesn't matter. We know what we're talking about.
yeah,
Same
yeah,
thing.
yeah, you know.
All right. So he starts with the gaffy stick, and in the scene where you see him holding the stick after stabbing him with it, the pointy end is bent a little bit, and in the next scene, it's straight again. So I thought that was just a little something like caught my eye the second time I watched it.
Yeah, I kind of
he
noticed
built
that
the
with the
prop.
Rancor a little bit too.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. I actually didn't catch that with the Gadurfi steak.
Yeah. Just a little.
But I did like how, because I was actually paying attention to this part, was the actual stab wound. It had the 4 pieces, like the cross on. And I thought
Yeah.
I'm glad it wasn't just a solid hole that they did, but they actually showed the
Yeah.
cuts from the actual blades on the end.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Small little detail, but it's satisfying.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
after he
Very
gets
traumatic
stabbed,
wound.
yeah, and then after he gets stabbed, you see the little light on his chest plate start to blink.
Yeah.
And so, for Clone Wars fans, I'm pretty sure that's a call for Toto to come rescue him. But I'm hoping he stays dead and he's just dead by the time Toto gets there. It would have just been cool to see like a little cut scene with a little after credit scene with Toto just crying over Cad Bane. Get a little Seth Green in there.
Honestly, I hope. I mean, it would have been cool to see more live action Cad Bane, and I hope we do see more live action Cad Bane. But after that, I hope he's just dead.
Yeah,
because
I hope that we see him in other projects. Maybe like
the Gadurfi stick is like such a to stab someone with that thing. I mean, the pointed end is pikes, and then you've got the 4 spikes. That's such a traumatic wound, straight to the chest. You know, you're gonna be dead in a couple of minutes after that. So I mean,
yeah,
so
and
to me, it seems like sometimes they try to keep people alive, even though like they've been blown up or these huge things that would kill any normal person. And to me, it kind of takes away the
Josh Ball
weight.
chopped in half.
Yeah. I mean,
But it worked
yes,
for him though.
it did work.
It worked really well for her. But ever since they introduced the modifiers, even in I don't know if you knew that there's an after credit scene, a mid credit scene.
I saw with the Marshall and the
the modifier
and the back to tank. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's stuff like that. It's like ever since they introduced like the modifiers, especially with Fennec getting her whole stomach replaced with droid parts.
Yeah.
It kind of like, okay, well, all right, this
Anybody
person
can
died,
move now.
but are they dead or are they gonna bring them back as? I mean, hell, General Grievous was just an entire machine, and the only thing about him, I think, was his brain and his heart. Everything else was droid.
Droid. Yeah.
And so the technology's there, but for the most part, it's like I want them to kind of, if somebody dies, I want them to keep them dead.
Yeah. I think it takes away the weight because it's almost cliche now to have a main character die and then a couple seasons later show up and they have some crazy explanation for it.
Yeah, this
It's
isn't
just
Marvel
like
comic book, guys.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't just use the time stone, go back or whatever. So, yeah.
What'd you think of the Rancor going crazy?
I liked the Rancor. I thought it was very cool, especially after seeing it in the original trilogy where it's just like stop motion, and
Yeah,
you see how far technology has come. They can make this huge beast and not only make that beast, but put an actor on top of it. And you could tell in some scenes, just like they do with Baby Yoda, in some scenes it was an actual, thing on set. And then in other scenes it was actual CGI. But I think overall I think it was well done, and I liked seeing it.
Mm-hmm. I like that he like picked up the land speeder and just sat there and just threw it at everybody.
Yeah,
I'm
just
kind of
chucked
disappointed
it.
it didn't hit anybody. I think,
Yeah.
like you said, like killing some off of some of the extras would have been a little bit more weighted to the whole thing. But I felt like every
Yeah.
extra that was part of Boba's team was somehow immune to getting killed. Like,
Yeah.
I would like to see half of them jump out of the way and the other half get killed by that land speeder. Call me morbid or whatever, but
Yeah, I mean, it adds more weight to the battle. I mean,
yeah,
you're in a battle, so I mean,
it's like not like
I
they like seeing people die. I just want it being realistic.
yeah, exactly. I mean, even if they killed off, I don't know his name, the marshal, the weak way. It's the marshal's buddy.
Yeah, the
I don't know
bartender.
his name. Yeah,
Yeah, I
like
know who
even
you're
if they
talking
killed
about.
him off or something like that, then it would have been like, oh shoot, this is serious. But he's not like a super big character where it's like it's going to affect the plot, like so.
Yeah, because I actually would have liked to see him die. Not like not because I didn't like the character, but I think it would have actually tossed in a little bit of emotion because we see in the last episode he's like, "Yeah, we're not going to join. We're not going to join." And then
Yeah,
Cobb gets shot, and he's like, "Okay, now we have to join." I see the threat that they pose now, and
yeah,
so you feel bad because he comes in and now he's putting his life on the line, even though you know he didn't want to before, and then he becomes one of the ones that lost it, and then it's like, oh man, that sucks.
yeah, yeah. But I mean,
Um,
overall, I think the episode was well done. It wasn't my favorite one of the season,
no,
but it was still enjoyable to watch. I still liked it.
yeah, I liked Mando going against the Rancor, and then Grogu comes in, and you get to see a Jedi ability that we see with Ezra and Rebels, and then Cal Kestis from Fallen Order, where
Yeah,
they have a little bit of abilities to where they can do beast taming. And
yeah,
so it's kind of cool to see Grogu is like, oh yeah, I got that ability. He's like, all right, everybody stand back. The
yeah,
Rancor's going a little crazy, but I can fix this.
yeah. And that was
And so you can
actually,
tell that Grogu's going to be powerful.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, even in when he was working with Luke,
Hmm.
I mean, you remember he's 50 years old, and Luke was mentioning, I just feel like I'm helping him remember rather than actually teaching him, you know.
Yeah,
So
which kind of reminds me of from the Dark Force trilogy or series, and Jedi Outcast, and I think Jedi Cat. No, I think it's mostly like Jedi Outcast is where you have Cal Katarn. He learns the ways of the Force. He gets to the Valley of the Jedi. He sees how dangerous the Force can be, so he decides to turn away from the Jedi, especially after it almost killed someone he was in love with. And so then it's necessary for him to come back. And so Luke has to reteach him the abilities because he's been away from the Jedi Order for so long, or just
yeah,
hasn't been connected to the Force for so long. And so I kind of see it as a kind of reflection of that with Grogu. It's like, okay, Grogu hasn't been using the Force for so long, so it's kind of like riding a bike again.
yeah.
And
Teaching
then,
someone how to walk again. It's been
yeah,
injured or something.
and just trains him, and Grogu just kind of just falls asleep. I thought that was kind of adorable, just him snuggling up to the Rancor.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if you feel this way, but almost it's just like this between Mandalorian and Boba Fett. It's Grogu and friends now. It's not even. It's like
Oh yeah, true.
okay, Mandalorian, yeah, cool. Or oh, I'm gonna watch Boba Fett, cool. It's like no, I'm gonna watch Grogu and friends because either way, I'm
I
getting
didn't think of
Grogu.
it that way,
So
but now that you mention it, I think that's how I'm going to see it from now on.
yeah,
I
it's
think
like
that's what I'll title this episode too. It'll be the Book of Boba, Chapter 7, Grogu and Friends.
Grogu. Yeah.
And so we finally get to like the end of the episode. So again, we talk about like the Master Assassin Fennec coming in, and I love seeing the fear of all the Pikes and the mayor and all the leaders of the area. They're like, all right, what the heck's going on? Like they weren't
Yeah.
expected to be found out. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Anakin when he goes to kill all the separatist leaders on Mustafar.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're
It's
all
like they
gathered together and
just one little spot, easy. Okay, all right, easy to end you guys. Grievous is done on the other planet. All right, he's taken care of. basically Cad Bane taken care of. So now let's take care of these guys, and it's all over.
Oh yeah.
And
I thought it
Fennec
was-
is actually extremely terrifying. I'm glad we actually got to see some of her tactics.
Yeah, because she's
She,
not even just a straight up bounty hunter. She's an assassin. Like that's
yeah,
her MO is to just take people out. So
yeah. A lot of people are saying, okay, Boba should have done it, and I'm actually on the other end. I'm like, you know what? Fennec was the right person for the job.
yeah, because that's
Um,
not really who Boba is anymore. I don't think. Whether
yeah,
you
I
like
mean,
it or
like,
not, I mean, he's trying to be. He's trying to be that leader now. He's not that. He's not a hunter anymore. So
yeah, like even now, like him and Fennec are walking the streets, and he's like, oh man, why does that have to be the right arm? She's like,
yeah,
well,
yeah,
you could just
yeah,
go to the
because he
back to
got shot.
tank.
Yeah,
She's like, well, you can use the back to tank, and he's like, nah, it's already being used. And so
yeah,
that's another thing that I thought was cool. It's like, okay, Boba is healing everybody else before he even considers healing himself. So I thought that
yeah.
was cool.
Even when he healed the Gamorreans before he healed himself, back when
Uh,
Chrysanthemum
in
attacked
chapter
him.
4, or
Yeah,
chapter 3, not chapter
yeah,
4. Yeah,
yeah.
no, it was chapter
Um,
3.
one of the two.
Yeah, one of the
He
two.
when they survive the assassination attempt, he has the Gamorrean go get healed before he has himself healed. So,
hmm
which
So
is another great aspect of a leader is putting your people before
ahead
yourself.
of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So does it mean that Tatooine's going to be a more civilized place and a worse common villainy? We're going to go against Obi-Wan's initial thoughts. You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. I think Boba's changing all that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Um,
But that was
and then we,
wasn't that over at Mos Eisley though? Because this is Mos Espa.
well, yeah, but I mean Tatooine as a whole though,
Yeah, it's true. It's kind of a
because it's a hut space
yeah,
for the longest time. It was on the outer rim. The Empire and even the Republic never really dealt too much on the Tatooine side, because
yeah.
even when Qui-Gon and Padme they get stuck there, Watto's like, oh no, we don't take Republic credits. So
Oh yeah. So
so so yeah, so it's always been kind of just like just a planet to itself, kind of out of the rim. People just don't really pay attention to it. People don't go there unless they have to, because
the Wild
that's a
West
hut
of
territory now. Yeah,
yeah.
and then we get the final shot leading into Mando season 3. Mando's taking off, and we got little Grogu banging on the window.
That was hilarious. I mean,
Dude, I know, like it's
for anybody that's got kids, I mean, I'm sure they can relate to that. I definitely can. They're just
oh yeah, definitely.
tapping on the
Uh,
glass, like one more time, one more time. Like, oh my gosh,
oh
fine.
yeah,
This
I
is the
have a lot
last.
of
This is
friends
the
with
last
kids,
time.
and my brother and his kids. Like once you do even with the Echo 5 and his kids, like yellow, like I remember I used to pick him up and toss him up in the air, and then I'd be like all tired, and then be like
Yeah.
hitting my leg. He's like, do it again, do it again. I'm like,
Oh
dude,
yeah.
I'm tired, and they just keep doing it. They never get tired of it,
Yeah.
and
Or
so
then
that's
like
kind of how
they're
Grogu is.
yeah, yeah. It just gets out of hand. So
And he just sits there banging on the window. It's like, dude, shut up already.
yeah, enough is enough.
Yeah, all right, fine. One last time, and then we're done.
Yeah.
And you know that wasn't the end, but I'm curious of how Mando season 3 is going to be. I feel
Yeah.
chapter 5 is basically is what they're gonna be setting up for Mando season 3. I feel like the armor is gonna be like the main villain, and they're gonna be doing something with taking over Mandalore.
That'd be interesting. Because yeah, I don't
Because
honestly don't know what other direction they go because season 1 and season 2 was all about getting Grogu back to Luke, or at least
yeah,
at least to the Jedi, and they did that. But now they're back together, so it's like okay, what's
yeah,
the direction now?
because in chapter 5 when the armor is like, okay, he's like, how do I redeem myself? She's like, oh, you got to go to the pits of blah 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 Mandalore and do this thing. So we're definitely going back to Mandalore, but
Yeah,
it might tie into him reclaiming his throne or something. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
yeah. But I mean, he still has the dark saber, so is he still the rightful ruler of Mandalore, regardless if he's Mandalorian or not? Because I mean, Darth Maul won it in combat, and he was a
Claimed it,
Mandalorian.
yeah.
Yeah, and he was still their leader. So
Yeah, Death Watch accepted it just by their laws. They accepted it. Even though what's her face? Bo-Katan is like, no. I don't care if you have the dark saber, I'm not following you.
Yeah.
And so I think that would make a very intriguing season. Kind of like Mando goes there, he has the dark saber, and you have like this dissension of people that are like, okay, well, yeah, remember the laws. He technically is our leader now. And then you have the others that are against it, and a little bit of a civil war and him trying to claim it. And I wonder if Bo-Katan will back him up, or if
yeah,
she'll be
because
one
you
who
have to
wants to go
remember
against him.
they've been attacking Imperial remnants and taking their weapons and ships and building up. So I mean that could pay off in Mando season 3 as well.
Mm-hmm. So she joins Death Watch again with the armor.
Yeah.
JK.
Yeah, I don't think I can. But
I don't know, it'd be interesting. Season 3 will definitely be something interesting.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I'm
either
excited
way,
to see what
it's gonna be good.
Oh yeah, by far. Well, so overall season, what are your thoughts? What do you rate it before we cut this off?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. I usually got to think about these things. Let's see. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like great, in my opinion. I would probably rate it. I'm gonna go ahead and rate it a solid. I'll give it a 7.
See,
Maybe
I think
that's
that's
too
where I'm
low.
landing on it too. Nah, for me, I think seven fits it
That's
as
like
a story.
right there. That's for me where like if it goes lower, then it's not good. For me, at least. I don't know. But
Yeah,
it was still good, and I enjoyed it, and I'm definitely gonna watch it again, and I'll definitely binge watch it again. But I just felt like they had to bring in the Mandalorian for 2 episodes in a row towards the end of the season, and he like completely stole the show, which was fine, to be honest. I thought he was cool. I loved those episodes, but it felt like I was watching the Mandalorian and not the Book of Boba Fett.
the
So
Book
it's
of
kind of
Boba.
weird. Yeah. So
Yeah, and that's
on that
kind of why I
basis,
stand at.
it's a 7.
Yeah, that's kind of why I said it as a solid 7 as well. Echo 3, he kind of said, he's like, I can't call this season bad, but I can't call it good either. Like the individual episodes were great and entertaining, but as a story that they're trying to tell, I just got a little confused on it. It's like, okay, are we telling Amanda's story or are we telling Boba's story?
Yeah.
And if we are telling Boba's story, then why are we focusing so much on Grogu and Luke and Ahsoka? Not that I was disappointed with any of that.
No, but they
But
shouldn't
as
have
far as the
stolen
story,
entire episodes. They shouldn't have stolen 2 entire episodes.
then I'll have this meme that I'm going to post later. It's going to kind of describe the whole season. I'll probably post that later tonight or tomorrow. It's actually pretty. It's you know how they do like those little horse drawings.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it starts off drawing really good, and then it starts drawing off bad. Well, this one has a picture of a horse being drawn, like, and then in the middle of it, 2 slants of it is a tiger being drawn, and then the rest of the horse is drawn after.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the perfect representation of the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that it was bad; it was just confusing.
Yeah.
But well, guys, I hope you enjoyed our discussion of Chapter 7. Next week, we're going to be bringing in a couple special guests. 2 Star Wars accounts are going to be joining us, and we're going to discuss the whole season, kind of give our thoughts, and kind of discuss a few other things. So look out for that. I believe we'll post that on the 20th. But until then, be sure to like and comment. It helps people find us better and generally generates more activity for us, so we're able to get our names out there. Also, be sure to check out the links in the description where you can find our Discord, where you can chat with other fans like yourselves and discuss the mysteries of the Star Wars universe. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram, where we continue to post updates, news, and occasionally memes. Who am I kidding? Most of the time we're shooting memes and occasionally news. if you're looking for some new shirts that shows your love of Star Wars, we got you covered, guys. We have some designs that we worked on, and we know you guys will love. We're working on a couple other ones. Be sure to check out. We're going to be doing one for Return of the Jedi. I've got one that's going to be a special one for Kenobi. That's going to be a Celebration exclusive. And we got a couple other ones that we're excited to show you guys. So check out our Teespring below and tell your friends about it. I'm sure they'll love it as well. So that is it. Echo 2 out.
Echo 7 out.
May the Force
Be with you.
always.